Hello, everybody. That is the Alligator Brothers band out of Indianapolis, our lead in for tonight. And that was from a few years back. Uh, Again, hello. Thank you all for clicking on. Thanks for clicking on. Greatly appreciated. Those of you watching live, hello. Those of you watching on demand, thank you very much for clicking on as well. Those of you in the chat, watching people win or fail. Shelly G. Hi, Mike. Hi, Bunny. Hi, Sable. And I'm not going to run back up to the top because um, it gets my chat all messed up. And I only, like I showed the other night, I only see like three boxes of chat at one time, chat from three people at one time. Hi, Cunning. Mavis, how are you? Hope everybody's having a good night tonight. And got some stuff. Hello, Curtis Caldwell. Got some stuff coming up. Had some tornadoes yesterday in the area, and thank you to Lori Arnold for getting that little video of mine out. If I would have known she was, planning on doing that, I would. It should have been better. Thank you to my sister. I'm going to have a phone that I am going to be able to do some IRL. I'm going to be able to actually get out and live stream, and especially if there's some severe weather in my area, you might just catch a live, as well as some historical sites in my area, and who knows what may come up. But thank you to my sister, not only for that, for tons of things, my sister, what can you say? You can't say thank you enough to your siblings. And anyway, hi, Guy Bassett. In the late 70s, I used to be a bouncer at the Parlor in Campbell. I was also DJ when the one they had was too drunk to work. Guy, you might be interested in what I'm featuring tonight. And I would like, email me, Guy, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like to have you on here and talk some music history. Yikes, that was Captain and Tennille. Was that Captain and Tennille? No, that was the Alligator Brothers band from Indianapolis. And actually, that Carl Story, who was the lead singer of a band called Faith, grew up about, 15 miles from me, and we met, became friends. I got the privilege to be able to play one time with him on a song, and not a recorded song, on stage jamming, when everybody was really one of those situations you were talking about, where somebody might have been just had enough drinks that they decided they didn't want to get on stage, and I was like third in line. So hello, Lolo. Yikes, tornadoes. But yeah, that was the Alligator Brothers and Carl Story. And I'd really like to see Carl play again. I don't know if we'll ever see that. So, but anyway, that's a good way to start the night off. And like I said, I got something interesting, and for the feature, we started on it the other night. Actually, I don't want to do that. Oh, jeez. We started on it the other night, actually. So, but we'll get to it in just a minute. In the meantime, let's jump into the breaking news. And I had the whole show all set up as I do every night. And I came back here about, 40 minutes ago, and accidentally deleted everything. So I had to put it all back together. And I'm saying that because I've got two breaking newses. I've got the breaking news from yesterday, and and the breaking news from today. So we'll just buzz both headlines here. CNN, 26 million student loan forgiveness applications could be declined. Wall Street Journal, FBI director says COVID pandemic likely caused by Chinese lab, and a leak from the Chinese lab. And how do we go back? There we go. What's in the CHIPS Act? This is today's headlines. What's in the CHIPS Act is, I know I can't do that. What's in the CHIPS Act is aimed at child care expansion and national production of well, there's a little crap. I'm sorry. I just saw a message from my daughter and broke my train of thought there. Disney World special status dealt another blow by the Florida governor. Russia forces hammer Ukraine's Bakhmut in quest for some kind of peace settlement. The Chicago mayor is taking on 8 rivals in a feisty re-election bid. And just a reminder that local elections will be going on this year in many areas. And we're only a year away from 2024. Already the politics of 2024 is upon us, as we are aware. So I want to jump to yesterday's breaking news real fast. Well, I closed the wrong one. Okay. That's all right. Jump back over here real quick. Hi, G. Abbott's Basement. Excellent video today, as always. If you haven't checked it out, check out G. Abbott's Basement. The video is about connecting dots. Okay, I'm not going to give any more. No news is good news, but we will take the news because Barry's way cool. Well, thank you very much, Sable. I appreciate that. And again, you know, what we do here, we just show you things to think about. And man, do I have a bunch. The title tonight obviously deals with trains and specifically getting off the tracks, train derailments. We're going to jump back to this past weekend just for a second. Actually, just for a couple of minutes. This was from Polish Agnes's stream.
I don't know what the hell they got. Yeah, right?
I thought they said it was across the street.
I don't know, down the block and something.
This is what happens when you stop for a second in a small town and you're following.
And no one cares, they always just leave you. I figured it out, freaking streamers.
Lori K in the chat said it's at 43 West Rebecca Street.
Okay, say it again. Say the address again.
43 West Rebecca.
Okay, that is the address of the Moose Lodge, and it was publicly out there. Okay, just in case anybody's freaking out.
Rebecca Street.
It's a lovely little town. Again, I'm sure the people that are there.
Rebecca, see, they took the turn. They probably went right. I have a feeling they went over there.
I'm doing commentary over this.
Yeah, you don't want to go left.
Yeah, of course. If your car's to the left, you don't want to go left. You want to walk around the block 3 times to the right and never be able to get there. But anyway, and we said, you know, we're sure the people that are there appreciated it. But again, a reminder that the mayor, you know, from the start has been adamant about not wanting people there. Why do I bring that all up? Well, here we go.
Get the fuck out of here!
What's your problem, sir? What's your problem? What's your problem?
Don't you have anything else to do? We're here to support Ohio. You're local people.
Why?
Wow.
That must have been red.
Oh, he's gonna get out of the car.
See, you went left.
Again, this is from Polish Agnes's stream, driving to East Palestine with special supplies, and showing this specifically as a reminder that sometimes real life, not in real life, not IRL, not streaming, but actual real effing life crosses over.
What is this guy doing?
Wow.
Okay, license plates. Catch the license plate. Catch.
Okay, we are exiting that because we're not going to show the license plate, at least not any more than was shown there, if it was shown at all. And just a reminder, sometimes we need to remember that at some point, your actions online may cross over into actual reality, and use your heads, everybody. We are, if you haven't figured it out, we are in a pressure cooker in the United States, as far as attitudes, as far as divisions, as far as hate. And we've got solar flares, we've got a weakening magnetic field, we've got all these different factors potentially revving up emotions. Let's all just kind of try to keep that in mind as we move forward in 2023, and maybe not antagonize. And if you do antagonize, think, okay, if I do this, if I antagonize like this, am I going to get something back? And if you do get something back, don't be the victim because you antagonized. It's fun and people love it and people watch it, and the drama is unprecedented. It's also poisonous. It's also destructive. Sorry, just something to think about. Onward. More train stuff. Somebody brought this up, and I had seen it, but I didn't have it ready to play then, and I wasn't on last night because of we just,
of rail car.
Thankfully I just got this laptop, and electricity wasn't. It was flickering at times. Fortunately, it didn't. I could have done it, but I just didn't want to take a chance. And plus, I didn't have any hot water, and I didn't get to take a shower yesterday. So, all that being said, that's why I'm playing this now. Most of you might have seen this already, might be aware of this already, but this is CBS News.
Cars involved in the fiery train derailment that happened last week in Ohio.
Yeah, you may recall residents were forced to temporarily leave their homes after the train derailed in East Palestine. I know they say it, Palestine is the way they say it there, earlier this month, releasing hazardous chemicals. And the video on your screen now shows that.
I just want to point out the dude, the announcer, and the pretension. I know they pronounce it Palestine there, but the actual correct way to pronounce it is Palestine. Sorry.
The train appeared to be on fire. This is interesting. 20 miles before it reached the site where it actually went off the tracks, derailed. Now, the footage on your screen is captured by a security camera at an equipment plant in Salem, Ohio.
Let's bring in Erica Moke. She's a reporter for our Pittsburgh affiliate KDK TV. Erica, what can you tell us about what this video is all about, what it shows, and what new questions does it raise?
Yeah, so the video that you're seeing is from Butech Bliss, and as you mentioned, it's an industrial equipment facility You're seeing those sparks on a portion of the train. And as you mentioned, where this facility, where this video was shot, is about 20 miles from East Palestine, where that derailment happened, right? So the camera, when the train is passing that camera, when the footage was captured, this was around 8:12 that evening. The derailment happened, as I mentioned, 20 miles later at around 8:55. So this brings up the question of, okay, when was the crew on board made aware that there was an issue? So this brings up the issue of the detectors, which are alongside the tracks. And these detectors are in place so that the crew on board knows if there is something that is malfunctioning, if there is something that they need to be aware of, because if they're aware of that, it's to help them avoid situations exactly like the one that we are talking about here. Now, I spoke to a retired Norfolk Southern railroad engineer, and he was saying that these detectors are placed about every 20 miles. So we're right in that zone where we're questioning, okay, where was the detector? When was the crew alerted to an issue? We do know that the crew did get an alert. So anytime there is an issue on the tracks, that crew is alerted. Those detectors alert the crew on board. And when there is an alert, they do need to stop the train, in some cases immediately. Now, what this retired Norfolk Southern engineer was saying is that basically they were looking at, in this video, what could be considered a hot wheel. These detectors can detect if there is some sort of difference in temperature, right? So he believes that if the detector was in the area where we're seeing that hot wheel, the crew should have been notified right away. The question is if it was hot enough at the time when it went over the detector to notify them in time, or if they had already gone over that detector in, say, Salem, the Salem area, before that wheel started to spark and get hot. Like I said, we do know that there was an alert that was passed on to the crew. But again, it comes down to the question of where that detector was, how quickly they were able to get that message, and then ultimately stop that train. So those are the questions that are coming up now, and definitely something that the NTSB is looking into. They've talked with the crew members on board to see what alerts they got, when they got them, and they'll also be reviewing inward-facing cameras on that train and audio recorders to determine if their actions match up with what exactly they were supposed to be doing on that train when they get those alerts.
Okay, there you go. That, of course, from CBS and CBS News. Now, while I'm doing newscasts, let's just go to this. This comes from WLWT out of Cincinnati, Channel 5 NBC, Cincinnati, Ohio, WLWT.
The contaminated soil and water from the train derailment site in East Palestine is heading to 2 EPA-approved facilities in North Ohio, but one of them has been under the agency's microscope for years now. The Heritage Thermal Incinerator in East Liverpool has a history of violations and has been in the middle of multiple lawsuits. Back in 2007, the company paid a $750,000 settlement over chemical emission claims. In 2015, the U.S. EPA reported the facility released dangerous toxins 195 times into the air over the course of 4 years, exposing those nearby to chemicals that cause cancer, miscarriages, and early death. And another lawsuit is still pending from 2022 regarding concerns over burning hazardous waste from the U.S. military. Local activists say they are worried.
And we have one of the highest cancer rates in this country. We've had enough. We have sacrificed enough.
In response to concerns, Heritage Thermal says it is fully permitted to manage materials from the derailment.
Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg is calling on all major rail companies to join a voluntary hazard reporting system. This would allow workers to confidentially report safety hazards, including conditions which could lead to derailments. Now, no major rail companies currently participate. He is giving them a week to reply to his request, but his deadline has no real teeth. The only penalty they face by not complying is Buttigieg plans to notify the public about which companies did not join. 506.
All right. Indiana landfill is also in the headline here. They didn't mention it because it's an Cincinnati, Ohio television station. But Indiana is also expected to get some of that contaminated soil. It will be interesting to see the potential reaction of the local politicians here. Why did that not close? There we go. All right. And we got more trains before we are done. Actually, this just happened not that long ago. Unfortunately, in Greece, a train crash. This is in the nation of Greece. Train crash, at least 6 dead, multiple injuries after a horror smash. Fire broke out after 2 trains collided, leaving at least 6 dead and dozens more injured, including children. Latest, it is a breaking story. Again, it just came out right before coming on, so I don't have any more on that other than that. And yet, I've got more train derailments. This time, train derails in Manatee County in Florida. I'm not sure why I don't have volume. Maybe there's no volume to it because it's from a chopper. But you can see major damage to the tracks. One tanker appears to be over. So,
with some help.
And again, that was from earlier today. So now you may be getting an idea why we're talking about trains going off the rails. One more quick story to touch on before we get to the feature for tonight. And again, we're just touching on it. Iranian warships have docked in Brazil, defying U.S. pressure. And I bring that up simply because if you did not see it, Chris was on 2 weeks ago on Monday, I believe. And we were talking about the state of the world. And we mentioned BRICS, B-R-I-C-S, which was Brazil, Russia, Iran, or India, China, and or South America, or not South America, but South Africa, or potentially Saudi Arabia. So out of those 6 or 7, I guess, 5 would be BRICS. And it's been long, kind of started out as rather of a conspiracy theory that, and of course with some conspiracy theories, they're only theories until they're proven. So I'll hop back over here into the chat for just a second before we get to the feature tonight. The feature doesn't really have anything to do with trains necessarily. We started doing this when I didn't think Corinne was going to be coming on, and Corinne hopped on at the last moment, and we were able to have a really good interview. If you haven't seen that, go back and check that out. Check that episode out. We're going to be talking about the Wonderland murders. There was a movie out, I don't know how long ago it was, and I'll mention that movie over the course of the things we're going to be talking about. But this is we're not going to be watching the movie. With that being said, Lori K, email me and I'll give you my email address. Thank you. You're not going to believe this. This is insane. 2 nights ago, I had a dream that I woke up and I had my cross back, and something in not sure what, who, but a voice in the dream said, "This is from one of your viewers." And I woke up the next morning and chuckled. You know, I woke up and I looked down and thought, do I have my cross? It's like, that would, thank you, Lori K, in advance. No, I mean, I don't care if it's whatever it is, it's from you, and it will be blessed. And I'm grateful. Thank you. Thank you, Cunning Stunt, americandufus@gmail.com. I'm just getting ready to say that. Tanya, what was the purpose of walking around the streets filming? Oh, they were looking for the Moose Lodge. The Moose Lodge, Moose on the Loose. Moose Lodge was feeding people. Yeah, I'm blown away. One of my friends in the 60s was Dan Blocker. Hoss on Bonanza. Michael Landon. Little Joe. And then Ben Cartwright. Of course, Ben also was in The Towering Inferno, one of my favorite disaster movies of that time. What up, Al Munson? Hi, Nathan. I'm guessing Spoon's in here. I see somebody comment. So, hi, Spoon. Sandy Foster, hello. Troy. I got the cheap plastic bottles that crinkle. They do have the little indentations and things in it that I had not noticed until I did a little miniature interview of you on Telescope's channel the other night. And by the way, Troy's going to be here a week from Tuesday on Science Tuesday. And we're going to be talking about a little bit about plastics, as far as what kind of water to store for preparation, because everybody needs to have some fresh water, at least 72 hours worth of water stored. And if you don't store it correctly, you're going to hurt yourself in the long run. If you are doing it, do it right. And Troy's going to help us with some of that. What's the best water to use, as well as we'll just talk some sciencey stuff. I look forward to it. And again, Guy Bassett, I'm serious. I'd like to have you. I'd like to have an interview with you. I think it would be cool. Hello, GA from CA. No solar impacts or anything. So people that that have had heightened emotions, heightened conditions, the next couple of days are going to be better. And however, we do have a major sunspot coming towards us, but at the moment, nothing to report. So, hey, Chelly from the block. Barbara Stanwyck. The Big Valley. Was she in the Big Valley? Do I have Stitch blocked? No, absolutely not. No, I tried to give Stitch a wrench, and I tried to do it when I was live the other night, and it wouldn't let me in. Buy a Berkey filter replacement and build your own large quality filter with 2 10-gallon buckets. Yeah, we've seen. I did a series, just a real brief series, just a basic thing on prepping, and I've also talked about it a little bit in some other episodes. And I'm not just, if it's ST, if it's SHFT, TF, SH. If it all goes to heck, you're not going to be supplied enough, because if you are supplied enough, people are going to know about it and they're going to take your stuff. So I don't know, is there any way you can ever really prep for the end? But there are people doing it, and good on them. It makes them feel better, and hopefully it'll work out if it ever does happen. 30 days, is what I tried to look at. And as far as, just because how long were the people in Florida? How long were some people in Florida without power following the hurricanes? How long will people be without power following these upcoming tornadoes, which are going to be starting on Thursday, I think, and maybe Wednesday, maybe tomorrow afternoon. Marie Justice will come back to help. Awesome. I would love to have Marie Justice back on here. Al Munson DUFUS, I did talk to John. He's back in the States, but isn't doing. Oh, no. Okay. Yeah, that's an upcoming episode. Again, for those that missed it, we did it, I don't know, a few months back, and I want to redraw attention to that part of history that might be lost to a lot of people. So give him my best, please, Al Munson, and thank you, brother, for doing that. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Davis Ward. Leave Yort. Not sure what that means, honestly. I've heard it used several times. I when I hear Yort, I think of the little place out in the woods that's like, secluded place to get away. But I don't know if that's what that's called or not. Freeway or hit. Okay. All right. I can't do it from. Actually, I can't do. Okay, I can block. I can put in timeout. I can block them from restream chat everywhere. I didn't know I could do that. Don't mess up in here and get blocked by me. And respect the mods and respect the process, and just, chill, have some fun, or learn some things along with me. Now that I've done that, I can't get it off of there. I'm not sure why. There. All right. Okay. Troy spelled backwards. Okay. All right. I know what it means now. What's the thing called that's out in the woods, the little retreat kind of thing? That's a yurt, isn't it? Is that what that's called? A yurt instead of a yort? Got it. Can't post messages to some channels. Of course I can't. We already know that. But that's all right. That's all right, Mom. Yeah, I played the Alligator Brothers to start the show, the intro. For those of you just joining us, band from Indianapolis with the lead singer that wrote, along with Mark Cawley, wrote one of my two favorite slow dancing songs of all time, and actually charted with it. And really good dude, named Carl Story. And if you Google him and look him up, you can find all kinds of good music. And we'll be playing some more of that, because they very incredibly versatile and talented bands he's had around him his whole career, and we're gonna play some of them because Carl's not doing so well either, per my understanding. So a little off track there. Did I mute myself? Was I sitting here talking and you all not hear any of it? Okay. I just looked down and my meter was off. So apologies if I did. I don't know how long I was muted, or if I was muted. I just looked down and saw. Anyway, production stuff. I'm going to take just a couple of more moments here before we get to the Wonderland murders. And chat froze for some reason here, it seems, on me. No, here we go. Okay, only muted for a few seconds. Cool. Tupelo! Hiya, Tupelo. Haven't seen Tupelo in a while. And okay, thank you. Tupelo, thank you. And you know what for? Leva's going. Oh, Troy's saying he's going to be on next Tuesday. Yeah. Thank you, Tupelo. And good to see you again. And I'm sure the chat's going to light up because there have been a lot of people asking, where's Tupelo? So excellent. And thank you for the text to let me know that I was only muted for a few seconds. Unless Stunning in Georgia up here and we're playing bad lip reading, being muted is not a good thing. All right. Well, we talked about Laurel Canyon, and we touched on the Manson part of Laurel Canyon, and in upcoming episodes, I'm gonna touch back on that again, on the Manson part of it, because of a different subject, not Laurel Canyon, but as part of the Laurel Canyon lore, if you will, were the Wonderland murders. Technically, the Wonderland murders are still to this day unsolved. But we're gonna take a look. We're gonna take a look at that. Let's see, which one should we start with? Let's start with this. Let's start here. Again, I had everything all laid out, and I deleted it.
Because if we
don't, and I think I've got everything back.
This entire scenario is just going to seem completely out of place. Remember, the timeline that we're in now is 1981, and it's been 12 years since Charles Manson and his backup band set the Los Angeles area, and the rest of the entire country for that matter, onto its collective ear. During that time period, there were certain changes that were taking place in society here and elsewhere. And not all of them were necessarily great. One of the main things that we're talking about here is related to the consumption of and the business transactions connected to the use of illegal drugs. Now, before we get ourselves all bent out of shape about this, let me clarify. None of what I am about to say is meant to be any lesson of any kind on morality. It's not a judgment of what anyone might think about the recreational use of drugs, the medicinal uses, the legality of certain types of narcotics, addiction, whatever. I don't care. That's not...
What this guy's doing is basically a don't at me, bro, okay? I know there are going to be so many different opinions on what I'm saying right now, but don't at me.
What this is about. But here's a dose of reality. And you could fight me in the comments if you want. There are drugs, and then there are drugs.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is this. You can grow cannabis, weed, in your own backyard. In fact,
No, I can't.
you can even grow a very small amount of it on your own kitchen windowsill if you want.
No.
Or anywhere else in your house.
No.
With a simple grow light.
No, well,
There's personal, recreational.
Yeah, technically I could, but no. What is it, 38 states? How many states is it legal in now? Is it over half? Or maybe it's 28. Just over half. I don't know. Somebody put it in the chat. I'll hop back over here real quick after I get this playing.
Use. And then there's another term that we'll just simply call commercial distribution. And all drugs are not created equal. You don't grow heroin or cocaine in your backyard or on your kitchen windowsill. These are in a much different category, and the procurement of these substances happens in a much different and a more complicated manner, almost always related to either organized crime or to a drug cartel located somewhere in South America. And traditionally speaking, these business entities are usually not known for their sense of humor or their commitment to friendly customer service. And now, related to the true story that we're about to tell, I do think that there is a lesson to be learned here. This is one about a group of people who got themselves in way over their heads and forgot that there is a big difference between your friendly neighborhood pot dealer and people with ties to much more dangerous organizations. So, enough of that. I think we've probably set the stage here. And so let's just jump right into this. John Holmes. If you already know who that is, just saying that name alone already lets you know that we're about to get down and dirty and down into the skankier parts of the underbelly of a certain genre of the entertainment industry that began to legally flourish here in the mid-1970s. Yep, we're talking about the porn industry. And John Holmes was the undisputed king and the heavyweight champion of actors that were involved in the business of pornographic film. So, why? Well, was it because he was an incredibly talented and a trained Shakespearean actor? No. Was it because he was considered extremely handsome and charismatic? No again. Was it because he was just highly intellectual and got by on his wits alone? No. In fact, he was considered by everyone who knew him to be a complete numbskull. So, why was he so successful in his chosen field and profession? It's because he had a 14-inch penis. And not only was Mr. Holmes the owner of a lower appendage of unusual size, he also made a lot of money very quickly. And then he soon developed an unusually sized cocaine habit. So large a habit, in fact, that it was said that he was burning up to 90% of his entire income on purchases of cocaine alone. Cut. But as you can already...
Okay, we'll cut. 90% of his income. Okay. And in all honesty, some of the reports I've read in researching all of this, it was 115% of his income. Here he is.
Okay. Okay, start talking. You're on
Mess with
film.
me. Okay.
John, I'm going to ask you some questions and you try to be serious.
Yeah, begin a match. Jim? Okay, serious.
If they were to make a movie about your life, what would it be about?
It would be about something different than my life. People wouldn't come and see me. No, I'm teasing you.
Why do you stay in the bathroom for 5 hours at a time on sets?
I don't know. It's a shitty habit. I've got. I don't have a habit of doing that. Sometimes I hide in other places so that they can't find me. But usually the bathroom is the only place with a lock on the door. No, I don't take drugs. I don't even like aspirins. I am a kind of a healthy person. I don't need drugs.
Are you vegetarian?
No, I'm not a vegetarian, but I'm just basically healthy, therefore I don't need drugs. I'm not a sick type of person. Mentally, possibly. So I cannot go home yet.
What you're looking at right now is the side parking lot and alley to what was once the Pussycat Theater here in Hollywood, well, West Hollywood to be more specific. Now, if you don't know anything about Hollywood history, there are 2 adult films that came out in the 70s that were more popular than other ones. The first one was Deep Throat, and the second one was The Devil and Miss Jones. Well, it was this theater here in Hollywood that played them almost constantly, day and night, and there were lines around the block.
No, we are not going to be watching Deep Throat if that is what is going on in chat right now.
Looking at the front of the building, you can see the marquee. It says Studs, and then home of the legendary Pussycat Theater. But right above it, it looks like that's the original sign. It says Studs and it's got the cat girl. But if you look very closely, it says Pussycat. At this point, you might be asking yourself, why on earth are you standing in front of the Pussycat Theater talking about adult films when clearly this video...
Okay, this part doesn't have anything to do with the Wonderland murders necessarily. I just thought this part was pretty cool.
...is about the Wonderland murders. Well, John Holmes, the legendary porn actor, who basically because of him, the murders happened, his handprints and his name are outside this theater. This is the Porn Walk of Fame. To be honest, I thought the Porn Walk of Fame would be a lot bigger than this, no pun intended. But there's 2 people right here, I don't know who these guys are, Harry Reams and Jay Lawrence. There's the footprints, the handprints, and the signature of Linda Lovelace. Marilyn Chambers looks like she took her shoes off and just put her feet in there. Somebody by the name of Georgina is out here as well. Kay Parker and Eric Edwards. But we are here because of this man right here, John C. Holmes. Well, people knew him as Johnny Wad. It looks like he was here February 7th, 1985. About 3 years before he died from complications of AIDS.
In 1985, he entered the porn industry's Hall of Fame. He was to make his last film in '86, and from there, cocaine and illness destroyed him.
The drug situation became excessive to the point that it debilitated him. And in that debilitation, he was open to anything that could crawl into his system and literally die there, and eventually killed him.
Holmes had surgery for colon cancer, but it's reported AIDS was the ultimate killer. Some believe he contracted in prison. Holmes was a central figure in an unsolved 1981 mass murder in Laurel Canyon. He was acquitted, but spent 4 months in prison for refusing to identify the killers.
So who was John Holmes, and what was his connection to the Wonderland gang, the Wonderland murders?
Well, we're going to hop over to yet a different.
Coming from 8763 Wonderland soon became too much to ignore, and at 4 p.m. movers called the police to alert them to the noises seeping out of the home and into the streets. When the police got to the residence and made their way inside, they had no idea what kind of nightmare they were walking into. Immediately upon entering, they could see blood everywhere, covering the furniture, soaking the carpet, and cast onto the walls and ceilings. The crime scene was spread throughout the entire two-story residence, as were the victims lying lifeless where they'd been mauled to death. And as they moved from room to room, they identified 4 bodies laying where they'd been killed and nearly unidentifiable from the extent of the beatings they'd taken. Eventually, however, the source of the moans echoing out of the estate was located, coming from a 5th victim and the only survivor of whatever had taken place inside the house, and she was barely clinging to life.
Tricia, we believe that is the tower at Cedarside Medical Center where police are standing guard, guarding the only person who may have seen the killer or killers in Wednesday's murder. Police who have interviewed her will not reveal what she has told them about the murder. Now, the investigators believe those murders are probably related to a cocaine or heroin ripoff. Police say that they are still shaking this case down. They say they have about 100 clues, but they will not tell us whether they have a suspect.
The characters and the events that led to the quadruple homicide inside the Wonderland property play out like a Hollywood film and are uniquely a product of their time and place. It's a tale containing porn stars, drug addicts, a Palestinian gangster, competitive drug dealers, and home invasion robberies that would later be the direct inspiration for the film Boogie Nights. A script that is tame compared to the actual events because the true story would have been too unbelievable for the silver screen.
Okay. Wait a minute. We're switching over. And where's the volume? No, this is not Holmes. Okay, hang on. You're not seeing the video? Okay, hang on. Let me go back to it. I tried something that going from one video to the next, which had worked in the past, but not in this case. So let me restart. And thank you for letting me know because I don't see the chat. Thank you. Okay. Here we go. Let me check. Okay, you are seeing it now. Yes.
The massive theft that Eddie Nash is.
Let me just run it back. Here, let's just run it back to right here. Actually, here we go. And then I won't switch it that way. I won't have a chance of.
Came from a luxurious.
I won't switch it too much. I'm going to have to switch it, but just some backstory. This is the lady that owned or actually didn't own, but leased the property where these murders took place, and indeed was one of the people murdered.
His previous life, the ex-wife to a lawyer in Beverly Hills and mother of 2 children, yet turned to heroin after the walls of gold crumbled and she found herself consumed by the drug culture of 1970s California. It was through these efforts that Joy met the Wonderland gang and joined their collective, getting arrested 7 times throughout the preceding years. Despite contracting breast cancer, physical health declining or not, Joy invested in her drug use and the gang at large, literally signing the lease away on her and her partner's lives. The 4th and final victim was not an official member of the Wonderland gang, but rather a close associate. Born on the 17th of October in 1959, Barbara Richardson was quite young when killed on the 1st of July 1981, yet still led a reckless life up until that shocking moment. She was dating the aforementioned David Lind at the time, who was also an Aryan Brotherhood motorbiker. The couple took to heavy drug use soon after meeting, and through a complex set of circumstances, wound up as police informants. After their criminalistic lifestyles took a turn, they moved to Los Angeles to join the Wonderland gang as legitimate members, but never made it past initiation when lightning struck Laurel Canyon that summer of '81.
We're going against the wind. The wind's 120 knots from the west.
Oh, stop.
You know, you're dealing with all of these objects that are
Stop,
hanging
stop,
over
stop,
your
stop,
sensitive
stop.
military installation.
Here we go. Jeez.
In the later years of the 1970s, 5 unlikely criminals band together in Laurel Canyon, Los Angeles, California. Ron, Billy, David, Tracy, and Joy. They see the unparalleled riches stemming from the cocaine trade market and decide to cut their own slice of the pie. Together, they set up base camp at 8763 Wonderland Avenue, known as the Wonderland Gang thereafter. Before the calendar flipped to 1980, however, the Wonderland Gang garnered their first and most infamous customer in John Holmes, a former porn star known for his body more than his character. By the time he found the gang, he was thousands of dollars poorer, after spending his paper on drugs from the crazed crime lord himself, Eddie Nash. Over the next couple of years, leading into the early 1980s, the Wonderland Gang is frequented by close associates Susan Murphy and Barbara Richardson. Together they became the Shameful 7, and make a reputation for themselves, unlike Los Angeles has ever seen. By the spring of 1981, the Wonderland Gang's operation is pulling in serious cash. Smooth sailing for the Shameful 7 with a lot of promise for the future. Their only headache was John Holmes, a leech at the 8763 Wonderland Avenue property. The gang doesn't mind him too much, using him as a petty errand hand.
This isn't
and
him.
Finding amusement in the former celebrity's crumbling social status.
This is another one of the gang.
But his fatal effects are yet to take full force. As the heat of summer in Los Angeles in 1981 ratchets up, the gang starts to realize their potential with Holmes and his connections to Eddie Nash. Holmes agrees they should act on his dissolving relationships, and they begin plotting a hit on Nash's treasure trove of a mansion in Studio City, California. Their target: cocaine, heroin, drug paraphernalia, boatloads of cash, and antique guns that once belonged to the gang. In the early morning hours of June 29, 1981, John Holmes ventures to Nash's mansion as if it was any normal day. He buys his usual order of crack cocaine, taking notes of the location of the desirable, but forgets to leave the patio door unlocked. Holmes returns later in the evening and successfully secures the door open for the planned robbery. When he goes back to the Wonderland base camp, he finds the gang high on heroin and waits for their recovery, drawing a map of the mansion for their heist. As late morning arrives on the 29th, Holmes feels paranoid, and that too much time has passed, and goes back to Nash's mansion once more to solidify the unlocked patio door. Once Holmes returns, Ron, Billy, David, and Tracy journey to Studio City to make the hit. Tracy McCourt stays put in the stolen Ford Granada as lookout man, while the other 3 enter the unlocked doors, claiming to be the authorities. Nash's 300-pound bodyguard, Gregory Dials, is first to approach the Wonderland trio, but is quickly overtaken and handcuffed. In the scuffle to detain Dials, one of the men's handguns misfires and hits Dials in the back. The noise of the gunshot wakes Eddie Nash from another room, and he enters to find his muscle man handcuffed and his valuables under siege. It's not long before Nash realizes the severity of the situation and begs for mercy. He drops to his knees, pleads to be spared, and opens the safe containing most of the goods. The crew acts fast, hauling away their treasure and escape Studio City with what would later be valued at $1 million worth of drugs, weapons, and cash. In the afternoon of June 29, 1981, the Wonderland gang returns to 8763 to divide their haul amongst the members. However, they give lesser shares to Holmes and McCord, lowballing their efforts and infuriating the two men. Nevertheless, Holmes takes some of the stolen jewelry and goes about his day. Over the next 24 hours, Eddie Nash swears his revenge on those who humiliated him and his personal legacy. He sends his goons out into the city of Los Angeles looking for possible suspects. One of his right-hand men spots Holmes strolling through Hollywood, wearing a notable ring that belongs to Nash. The news spreads faster than fire, and Nash brings Holmes back to his estate for questioning. Confined and threatened, Holmes is forcefully interrogated until he spills the names of those responsible for the home invasion, reportedly witnessed by Scott Thorson, one of Liberace's former lovers. What happens between this interview and the murders is unknown, but at around 3 a.m. on July 1st, 1981, less than 2 days after the Nash Mansion robbery, a group of unidentified men enter the Wonderland gang property in Laurel Canyon. They prowl from room to room, targeting individual members one by one, wielding striated steel pipes meant for bludgeoning. Their first hit is Barbara Richardson, sleeping in the downstairs living room. The second hit is Roy, sleeping in the rear downstairs bedroom. With him is wife Susan, but the killers only severely injure her, as she would later survive despite horrific brain trauma and a lacerated finger. The third and fourth hits are Joy Miller and Billy Deverell in the upstairs bedroom, Joy on the bed and Billy in the corner. Between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. that fateful morning, neighbors hear plenty of commotion coming from 8763, but figure the gang is throwing another party and ignore the noise. Little do they know, some of the most gruesome murders in Los Angeles history is taking place right under their nose, on that otherwise innocent stretch of road on Wonderland Avenue, forever mystifying the rest of Laurel Canyon's concerned community and LA County in total. When dissecting the entire scene of the crime and the violent nature of the murders, it's quite a shock that no viable evidence was retrieved from 8763 Wonderland Avenue in the forensic analysis, except for a handprint belonging to John Holmes on the headboard of a bed.
This is the part we missed.
Because Holmes was a frequent guest of the gang,
that's not,
it couldn't
that's
directly
McCord.
link him to the murders.
That's Tracy.
And with the era in which the crimes
John
were committed,
Holmes.
DNA evidence had not entered the prosecution sphere or scientific community in general. Thus, without physical or biological clues, investigators were scrambling for answers early on. One of their first orders of business was finding the surviving members of the gang, who were in their eyes the most likely to have killed the 4 victims. David Lind, who had befriended Ron in prison years prior, was apprehended and provided the vital piece of information law enforcement needed. Claiming to have been in a hotel room with a prostitute in the San Fernando Valley on the night of July the 1st, David Lind explained he wasn't anywhere close to Laurel Canyon, instead dealing drugs in a small, covert, unconnected deal. This led to a more official interrogation by authorities, where they were able to coax more confessions from him. Lind eventually revealed the dead Wonderlanders had carried out a massive theft at Eddie Nash's mansion 48 hours before their demise with the help of John Holmes. While it didn't inform anyone's involvement in the murders, the police finally had a direction to take their investigation. It linked John Holmes to a multitude of crimes, and anything involving the short-tempered, frantic Eddie Nash had to be considered as something sinister. Without a doubt, had Lind not been in the valley on July the 1st, and instead was just another victim of the Wonderland murders, his testimony wouldn't have given the proper lead to Nash, Holmes, the robbery, and ultimately one of the most obvious arrests and shocking acquittals in the history of true crime murder mysteries.
Here are 3 reasons why a gun alone is not enough to keep you safe. Reason number 1, most real-life attacks are ambushes. The criminal usually will not...
Sorry about that. Get off there. There we go.
Without question, the overwhelmingly popular theory determining who committed the Wonderland murders revolved around Eddie Nash, Gregory Diles, and their goons. It doesn't take much common sense to connect the dots between robbing an unstable crime boss and the likelihood of revenge. After all, Scott Thorson did write years later he witnessed Nash himself order a retaliation after Holmes coughed up the names of the Wonderland gang. Not only that, but Los Angeles detectives Tom Lange and Robert Souza found over $1 million worth of cocaine in Nash's possession a week after the killings, along with specific artifacts that were rumoured to have belonged to the Wonderland Avenue residents. Despite these discoveries, however, the LAPD first arrested John Holmes for the Laurel Canyon murders, charging him and him alone without any other suspects in March of 1982. This arrest sprouted from the discovery of a single handprint belonging to Holmes on the headboard from one of the Wonderland's bed frames. Surprisingly, the prosecution argued Holmes actually wasn't a lone wolf, that he was an accomplice in the murders, acting as a gatekeeper to the Wonderland building, and let the hitmen enter without notice. After a much scrutinized trial, Holmes was acquitted on June 26, 1982, for each count of murder. Some pertain the acquittal to the success of Holmes's 2 court-appointed lawyers, who argued Holmes was a victim, threatened and scared into helping the true masterminds without much of a choice. The self-defense proposition swayed enough jurors to forego the circumstantial evidence, along with the fact that Holmes did not cooperate with police, law enforcement, or testify in court at all, for which he would later spend 110 days in jail for. Even Holmes's wife, Sharon Holmes, admitted she was suspicious of him.
Again, that's not him. That's
She had told
Tracy
reporters
McCord.
back in July of 1981 that Holmes had said he knew the men who were inside the Wonderland residence the night of the slayings, and was at the house just before they happened. She also stated years after John Holmes died that the morning after July the 1st, her husband had returned home with blood splattered on his clothes, yet he remained uninjured. This was never proved nor cross-referenced, and were the only details Sharon remarked upon, never assisting either the police or the prosecution. Unfortunately, John Holmes passed away in March of 1988 due to complications from AIDS, taking with him the truth he had regarding his involvement in both the Nash Mansion robbery and the subsequent murders. Holmes wasn't the only suspect to ever find himself in front of a judge and jury, though. In 1990, 9 years after the Wonderland incident, police were still stepping on the tail of Eddie Nash. They charged him with the conspiracy and planning of the murders of Barbara Richardson, Ron Lanius, Roy Miller, and Billy Deverell, with his bodyguard Gregory Diles charged as a participant. The prosecution included Scott Thorson as a witness to testify against Nash and Diles, and seemed to have the 2 gangsters in a corner. But when it came to sentencing, the trial ended prematurely with a hung jury, votes coming in at 11-1 for conviction. Nevertheless, the California courts kept at them and tried Nash and Diles again in 1991. This time the 2 suspects were acquitted of all charges and set free. It would be the last attempt by authorities to pin Gregory Diles, as he died from liver failure in 1997. His personal accounts of the morning of July the 1st, 1981, still unknown. In 1996, both local and federal authorities joined together and held a 4-year investigation into the totality of Eddie Nash's suspected crimes. At the turn of the millennia, the task force arrested and indicted Nash under the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act for money laundering, drug trafficking, conspiring to murder the Wonderland gang, and even bribing the holdout on the first jury of the 1990 court case. During arraignment in September of 2001, Nash agreed to a plea deal, most likely due to his age and deteriorating health. Thus, Eddie Nash pleaded guilty to the juror bribing and the money laundering charges, but never admitted to the murder conspiracy. Rather, Nash stated he sent his associates, including Gregory Diles, to the Wonderland residence only to collect his stolen items. to which he concluded there was a possibility of violence without confirming anything. Nash paid up a $250,000 fine, spent 4 years in prison, and lived the rest of his life in silence regarding the events of that bloody summer in 1981. He died 2 decades later, on August the 9th, 2014. Once Eddie Nash passed away, it removed the last known major player in both the LAPD and the general public's agreed upon theory regarding who committed the Wonderland murders. But because all three were acquitted, no physical evidence was ever presented, and their testimonies went to the grave. The killings still technically unsolved, with no justice imminent. And while it's highly improbable, there's a chance Nash, Dials, or Holmes never actually killed the gang. Even if Holmes gave up the gang's cover as the previous heist thieves, and Nash sent Dials and the goons to reclaim his property, it doesn't automatically mean they committed murder, despite the overwhelming circumstantial events. In fact, there are large groups of interested minds who look at the missing members of the Wonderland gang who escaped misfortune and weren't at the residence on July the 1st. David Lind and Tracy McCourt were both serendipitously absent from Wonderland Avenue when their peers were bludgeoned to death, and some wonder if it may not have been so accidental. Lind was in fact the person who gave authorities their biggest lead in John Holmes, going as far as to admit the gang had robbed Eddie Nash days prior. Despite Lind's own personal involvement with the heist, he still snitched to the police, seemingly to save his own skin. However, it's worth considering if Lind himself tipped Eddie Nash to the Wonderland gang's involvement, coming away with both the riches from his share of the Nash Mansion hit and the gang's empire after their death. Or Lind killed the other members himself with the same outcome in mind, using the Nash heist as a scapegoat. It would give law enforcement a believable suspect to pin the murders on and leave Lind to escape untouched. Or maybe the police knew Lind was guilty, but still went after Holmes and Nash in exchange for Lind's cooperation in other investigations. It was a known rumour in the years after the slayings that David Lind became a police informant in Southern California. Gossip so strong, his position in the criminal underworld became controversial with rival gang members, who dismissed his credibility in general. Because confidential informant records are not kept nor discussed publicly, Lind's greatest role in an applicable conspiracy is unknowable, as he passed away from an overdose in November of 1995. Tracy McCourt could have a similar motivation to offing the other Wonderland gang members. He was frequently teased, called Titmouse Tracy by David Lind even, and left out in bigger gang dealings. For the Eddie Nash invasion, McCourt was originally supposed to be part of the robbery, but after his handgun was taken away by Lind, he was given no other choice but to be the lookout driver. Some circles of amateur sleuths believe McCourt was then given less of a share due to his lesser role, and subsequently angered as a result of both the shortchanging and long-term disrespect. Thus, McCourt could have quickly organised a hit against the gang, staying home the night he knew the terrors would come down. Of course, if it were true, he would have failed overall, as his biggest transgressor, David Lind, ended up living through the entire ordeal. Yet maybe that could have pushed McCourt away from the Los Angeles life of crime in the end, as he moved to Colorado afterwards, and wound up in and out of prison for assault and trafficking charges. Much like Lind, we'll never know if McCourt indeed had a role in his friend's demise, as he passed away without known cause in October of 2006.
And we've got one final segment here. Hopefully this works this time. And we do have video.
Our adventures into the Wonderland murders now brings us to Culver City, to the Holy Cross Cemetery, the same cemetery where Bela Lugosi is laid to rest. So many other people, including Eddie Nash himself. Eddie Nash died at the age of 85 from emphysema. And his final resting place is here in Block 23, the main mausoleum. Now, if you come here looking for the name Eddie Nash, It's not on his stone, his marble plate here in the crypt. I'm going to show you what I mean here in a second. And there it is, the final resting place of Eddie Nash. You see what I mean? It doesn't say Eddie Nash anywhere on the stone. It was his nickname. Now, his real name, I'm going to try really hard to get this right, Adel Garib Nasrallah. 1929 to 2014, and underneath that it says, "Beloved Father, you will always be in our hearts." It's nice. Now here's the thing about Eddie Nash. Like I said, same thing with John Holmes. Everybody knew that he was involved in one way, shape, or form. He was even went to trial for the murders and he got acquitted just like John Holmes did. They actually got him on a couple other things and he spent like 4 years, something like that, in jail. And the only thing he ever admitted to was the fact that yes, he was robbed by two people, the Wonderland gang. That's how it all started. But he never once said anything about any of the murders. Even though stories around Hollywood said otherwise, he never confessed to anything. It's crazy. You know, the more you find information on the Wonderland murders and what happened, there's a whole bunch of hearsay and he said this, she said that, and rumors and legend. It's really hard to put together an accurate timeline. I mean, to be fair, to this day, nobody really knows what happened and how it happened. Crazy, right? It just occurred to me that I didn't show you where in the hallway Eddie Nash is interred. And it's right there up towards the ceiling, the second one down, the second row. With that being said, thank you for joining us on another grim adventure, this time telling the story of the Wonderland murders. Until next time, happy Halloween.
That was from, I want to give credit to everybody. That was from Grim Life Collective. Also, we had excerpts from Manic Cade. We had excerpts from Malice on Wonderland from the Memory Field site. And finally, our Cold Case Detective site was part of that as well. And there we go. A look at the Wonderland murders, still unsolved to this day, and made prominent because of the involvement of John Holmes. Troy. I come back over here and look at chat, and that's the first thing I see. Oh, so again, just Eddie Nash. Yeah, I kind of think that Eddie Nash had a hand in it as well. GA from CA. I don't necessarily know that he himself did it. I don't know about that. Again, a couple of movies that Boogie Nights is loosely based on these events, only different, but based on the characters, different outcomes. I'll put it that way. And also, there's a movie about the Wonderland murders. I think it's called Wonderland. I'm not sure. Hi, Julie. GA. Yeah, Eddie Nash and his goons. Yeah, I think that may be. But we'll never know. Everybody that was involved is now gone. So just putting something out there that maybe people aren't aware of or did not know. And I hope you're Cry 96 Tears. If you knew any hardcore bikers in LA from that time period, I assure you they knew of and feared Nash. Whoa, that's interesting information. And from what I've learned, it's, you know, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised in that at all. Would not be surprised at that at all. We got some other stuff coming up in some future episodes that we're going to be delving into some things that, you know, a little bit of history and a little bit of thing that maybe not everybody knows about. Grew up there and never heard of it. You see, that's why we do these things, GA. Because I imagine that was pretty big news, but LA's a big city and a lot of things happening out there. Massive city. If you've never been to LA, it is so expansive. It is, and it's so diverse, and it's almost parts of it anyway are almost, I don't know, surreal. It's like when you go there and you drive, everywhere you go is a movie set. Everywhere you go, you've seen places in films, and really cool place. I was popping out babies back then. Yeah, not paying attention to the news. Back in the day, the mob was into porn. Yeah, I imagine probably still are. Lori K. I lived in Long Beach, California for a few years. Do you remember hearing about it, Lori? Lori K. We're going to get next week. Maybe not. I might not even wait till next week to do it. But let's see, what have I got on the list here? I've got something I want to get to. I want to get to Baldy and Sam from Damnation Drive-In. Something that I think they might want to work with. I need to remember to do that. Hop over and leave it in the comments and hope that they see it. We're going to be talking about MK Ultra coming up. We're going to be talking about that'll probably be next week that we do the MK Ultra thing. I've got another train thing that I'm going to be talking about, but I'm going to go more in depth with it. Another train accident. Baldy, Temptation of Hippies. Let me pull it up real quick. I think it was Harry Reasoner. I came across this when I was the hippie temptation. Here it is. Let me share. Oh, let me share this real quick since Baldy is in here. And thank you for being here. Thank you all, everybody, for clicking on. Greatly appreciated always. Come on, there it is. Okay, it was from 1967, and basically, I played this part the night before last.
They represent a new form of social rebellion. Hippies are very interesting to the young. They dress in bizarre and colorful ways. They wear their hair long. Their very name suggests that they are hip, on to something good. Most of them are young, although some are old enough to have children of their own. There are colonies of hippies springing up in most American cities. They all declare themselves rebels against our society, but they want to withdraw from it instead of trying to change it. It is hard to figure out what positive things they are in favor of. They like music. The word love is used by them a lot. Their diversions might seem to be harmless enough were it not for one thing. In a very aggressive and evangelical way, they praise the effect on the mind of hallucinatory drugs, particularly the drug LSD.
So just, Baldy, you can probably see why I thought of you guys and the multiple angles just in the first couple of minutes. So there you go. It's again the temptation, the hippie temptation, and Harry, I think it was Harry Reasoner. So yeah. The good old days. Hippies changed the culture. Absolutely. Still are. Yeah. Hippies still are changing the culture. Still believing in peace, love, and understanding. And some still no bras. Acid. There, I know proponents. I know proponents of acid, and I know people that had incredibly horrific experiences. You can probably say that with just about anything. The ayahuasca is the latest craze now. Aaron Rodgers, the quarterback for the Green Bay Packers, is a proponent of everyone in the world doing ayahuasca and everybody being awakened and peaceful, and we'd have a great world. And then there are people that are like, it was the worst thing I'd ever done in my life. Of course, Aaron Rodgers also went into a sensory deprivation chamber last week. I think he spent like 4 days alone in total darkness. So I don't know. There are people that say that forever changed them as well. I haven't heard what he had to say. I haven't heard about his experience yet, but make America magical again. And we're, like I said, I'm going to be talking about MK Ultra. I'm going to do an MK Ultra episode, and all of this ties in. We're kind of building towards that with what happened. We started with Laurel Canyon, and again, the MK Ultra. Is there a Manson connection, or is there a connection with Manson to MK Ultra? It'll be a good episode, and of course. Was the government indeed constructing some of the most destructive hallucinatory drugs and experimenting? Was the government behind the whole thing in Haight-Ashbury? You'd think there are rabbit holes with the QAnon thing. There's a whole bunch of rabbit holes when it comes to MK Ultra, but I've already got some good stuff. Chelsea Handler's documentary on ayahuasca was good. Okay, haven't seen that. 71, lifelong hippie, born in LA, sex and drugs and rock and roll. Testify. I'm still this rock is from a good friend went to New York City. This is from Rockefeller Plaza. But yes, rock. Still trying to get songs put together. I think it will be Georgia. I think it'll be interesting. I've already got, I don't know, 5 or 6 sources that And see, what happened is I'm a week behind on everything because thanks to YouTube, I had an unplanned vacation. So my programming is like stacked up. And even more so since last night, but you know, we'll get through it. But I got some good stuff coming up, and I so much appreciate everybody watching. I really do. I thank everybody for clicking on, those watching live, those in the chat, those watching on demand. I appreciate you all. I'm incredibly grateful. And tomorrow night, GA from CA and Cunning will be here, I hope, back on their regular night. Are you going to be here, ladies? We're going to have because I know they got something they want to discuss, and I think it's a topic that. Oh, thank you, Lori K. GA, are you and Cunning going to be on here? And I'm not sure if they're going to talk about bullying or if they're going to actually be bullying people. Just kidding. It'll be 9:00 tomorrow night. So the ladies will be on probably Lynn Smith. The ladies will be on probably 9:30ish, probably. Because I do have one little thing I want to touch on tomorrow night. Oh, yeah, I didn't know you were. I didn't know so many nicknames for Stunning and for Georgia. The Mean Girls, obviously, they're Mean Girls, and they were the what was the Pot Grannies, wasn't it? Pot Grannies, something like that. That and you know, I didn't know that they were known by those titles, or I'd have been referring to them as such on their various appearances here on the big show. Lots of us are mean girls, apparently. Yeah, well, hey, yeah, the Pot Grannies. Yes, that's the Pot Grannies is what they were called, or what they are still called. Even though Georgia, yeah, Georgia, I've been called some, yeah, Mean Girls Matter. MGM. Yeah, they probably get sued for that, but yes, the ladies will be on tomorrow night at around 9:30ish. Yeah, I know Georgia doesn't even partake, and she's part of the Pot Grannies. So, what are you gonna do? And it was, it was a relatively exciting past week in the 1776 Restoration Movement and opposition, whatever you want to call that thing. People losing their minds and people doing all kinds of mean, nasty, ugly things. That's all encompassing, Lori K, with the hashtag Mean Girls Getting High, which is, women can, guys can do things, obviously. But women can be vicious. Now, don't kid yourselves. Don't for a minute kid yourselves. Women can be vicious, and women, I'm going to a little secret here. Women are doubly dangerous because women will do stuff to you themselves, and they'll get guys to do stuff to you for them. Just saying, something to think about. Sharing a little wisdom that comes with age. Bitches, be crazy. Stunning knows. Take it easy. We'll do, Lonnie. We'll do. We stand up for each other. Yes, they do. Yes, they do. Amen, Julie. Amen. Truth. Yes, Baldy. Hey, I that's what I try to do over here. I try to speak truth, give people things to think about. And I'm just saying, never piss off the women, folks. Sam knows. Sam knows. Christy, we are together. They are. All right. I love y'all. Sincerely, I do. I mean that. And I'm so grateful you click on here and you stop by. And I hope you continue to do it. And I'm so grateful that other content providers stop by, because man, I love going to the channels. I gotta say, coming up, I've got a doctor's appointment in the morning. I'm having surgery next Monday morning. I'm supposed to be in surgery, or I'm supposed to block out the whole day. Basically, the surgery is they cut the cancer out and they biopsy it right there. And if there's still cells, they go cut more out until they get it all out. That's the plan. And that's going to be next Monday morning. So Sunday, ladies' night, for personal reasons, I guess, I'd like to start Sunday's ladies' night like at 6:00, if possible. And I'll touch base with some ladies that, hopefully people will come up and talk next Sunday night. I'd like to start it at like 6 to get it over, so it ends at a decent time for two reasons. One, so I can watch Baldy and Sam's show, and two, so I can get to sleep at a decent time, because I got to be up and do all that prep and stuff Monday morning. So that being said, Sunday night, ladies' night, we're going to keep doing that. I know there's some guys that say, I don't care. That's not what I'm doing. That's not why we do it. It's to establish a place that women can come and talk and not be interrupted by people like me that tend to talk too much anyway. So we're going to keep doing the Sunday night ladies thing as long as ladies want to do it. And we're going to keep doing the show too. I may have to take next Tuesday off. Depends on what happens next Monday. I will be off next Monday. That's guaranteed, because they said block out the entire day, because once they start cutting on you, you're going to have to be there. So I appreciate the prayers, the well wishes, the positive vibes. I appreciate all that from now until then, and after then, I always appreciate it. But I'll just say we'll be back tomorrow night at 9:00. GA and Cunning Stunt, GA from CA and Cunning Stunt will join us, and I'll have some more news. I'll have a little tiny thing, and then we'll have the ladies on. So until then, namaste, shalom, salam, assalamu alaikum. Blessings be upon you in the name of the Most High, His Son Christ Jesus, power of the Holy Spirit. And if you're not a spiritual person, much love, positive vibrations, peace. Love y'all. We'll see you tomorrow night at 9. It's a dark world. Try to be a